All right, I do see 7 o'clock, so I am going to go ahead and get us started. Ladies and gentlemen, everyone, I do want to thank you once again for joining us here tonight. We are at our welcome. We'd like to welcome everyone to our Getting Ready for College night. We have some wonderful college reps joining us from some of our local colleges and universities. We have a good spread of private, public, community college, a lot of great options, a lot of great things to talk about as we consider the different scenarios for life after high school, especially if you are considering a college or university. So we have so many great things to talk about tonight. I do want to remind everyone just one more time that this session is being recorded, of course, for our families and students who are not able to join us tonight. So I want to spend a few minutes and go through our agenda really quickly. We are trying to start on time and trying to keep on that consistent basis here. So I have a few minutes that I want to talk about the packet that we sent out to all of our folks. And if you did not have that, you could head up to your web browser now and type in this tiny URL. That's www.tinyurl.com/central get ready for college. And that'll get you to our tiny URL for the packet that has all the information tonight. Lots of good stuff that we will share with families. I'm going to go into that packet for just a minute, but I do want to highlight really quickly this family-friendly timeline that I helped put together last year. Those who know me know that I'm a very visual, I'm a maps kind of a person. We have a lot of good information in that packet that we're going to send to you, but this slide that you see in front of you is kind of like the go-to timeline if you are considering yourself to be a college-bound rising senior. And I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time because this is in your packet, but this go-to place has the links that you need for Parchment. I will put a plug in here really quickly that if you are going to send your transcript, Parchment is how we send your transcript when it comes time for your applications. And even before we send a transcript, you have to complete what's called a consent to release information that allows the school to share educational information about you. Thanks to COVID, this stuff went electronic. So that can be completed tonight, right now, if you want to. I'm not going to give you time to do it, but you definitely can. While we're talking, www.tinyurl.com/CYHS consent. It will take no more than 2 or 3 minutes, and it'd be great if we can get that taken care of pretty soon. So anyway, we're on the junior side of the house. Lots of good stuff to think about. But I don't want to spend too much time because tonight is about getting some questions answered by some of our college and university reps. I did want to just put a plug out there really quickly. I'm going to pause my sharing here and jump into my packet page. You start these things and you just hope it's going to be so fluid and so wonderful. And it is, but it always feels like it's not, right? So when you go to that tiny URL for the Getting Ready for College night, you will see our agenda where we're going to talk about the presentation, start a Q&A session, and all of that good stuff. We have our names of the representatives for our college admissions. And as I said, that timeline, that family-friendly timeline is right in there as well. If you are a junior and you've already sat through your junior conference with us, you'll know that we've already talked about the things that juniors should be doing. And if you haven't, that's okay too. We're now meeting with juniors, and so it's not like you're late in any way. But this packet contains the information that we are sharing with our juniors as far as what important, relevant things they need to focus on as they get prepared for their senior year. Moving along in the packet, we jump into our senior year. Again, this is our timeline of things that we should be focusing on in August and September versus October and November as a college-bound senior. So that's in there for you to reference. Definitely check that out. We always get a question about how to register for the SAT. And so we have some helpful tips and steps in here on how to do that. Your school counselor will be more than happy to sit down with you and help you register for an SAT or for an ACT. But just know that this process is a very independent process, and you know more about the stuff that you need to enter in there than we do. So you'll need to have your demographic information. You'll need to have credit card information to pay for it. So we will help guide you through that. But it's also pretty straightforward for you to be able to do as well. Our juniors, we cannot talk enough about the Khan Academy. The Khan Academy is free SAT prep, and they take your PSAT scores, they take your regular SAT scores, they give you free individualized feedback. I'm telling you, as a school counselor, I don't know how this program is still free. Statistics are showing that scores are increasing with the amount of time that's being spent in there. So know that this is out there. It's really easy to link your PSAT scores to, but you got to make sure you log in and do it. I'll spend a few minutes talking about Common App, and I'm sure our college reps and university reps will talk about that as well. Common App is an efficient application tool that you just need to, at this point, be familiar with. So we'll talk about applications a little bit later on in the system, but in the program. But Common App is going to be that one way to make sure that you can efficiently apply to as many schools that are and universities that are on Common App. And basically, our general recommendation is if you have more than one college or university on Common App, it makes sense to use the Common App. Parchment, we've already talked about. There's a process to request letters of recommendation. I'm not going to spend too much time about that, but this document also goes through that process with pictures on how to use Parchment. That's what we love about that. And a quick tutorial on Parchment with pictures as well. Next, we have a supporting your student checklist for families. So again, we love our checklists. We love our timelines, what you need to know and do to help support your student who is planning on going to a college or university. We have information about financial aid. And finally, later on, we're going to hit our Q&A session. And usually we have a lot of great questions. I'm not putting any pressure on any of our families who are joining us here tonight, but in the years past, there have been some excellent questions. But in the unlikely event that you get stuck and you feel like maybe I need a question to ask, here's some really good questions on here that we just kind of want to keep things flowing for you. So definitely some good stuff there. All right, I think that I have covered just about everything that I want to cover at this moment in time. So again, I do want to thank you. I hear the bell ringing that people are coming in. I didn't go as long as I had thought that I would, so I will fill the time by telling pointless jokes. No, I'm just kidding. However, I do want to thank you all again for joining us, as people have been coming in a little bit later. I will put one other reminder out there. This session is being recorded for any folks and students who are unable to make the session. I just wanted to make sure everyone was aware of that. I will ask everyone to also please keep yourselves muted as our college representatives are going through their introductions and presentations. We will pause towards the end to allow some time for questions, and we want to make sure that that everyone stays muted so that we can keep on moving through that. At this point, I am going to turn it over to Ms. Smith from Gettysburg College to introduce herself and to talk a little bit about Gettysburg College. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you so much. And welcome to everyone joining us this evening. My name is Mary Smith. I am one of the Senior Associate Directors of Admissions at Gettysburg College. I'm also a proud Gettysburg alum, class of 2000, and a little bit local. So I transferred from New Jersey in my middle school years, but most of my time has been in South Central Pennsylvania. So I love working with our students in South Central Pennsylvania, and it's been fun to learn about students across the country and across the globe as well. Just a little bit about Gettysburg College. Our instructions this evening were to talk a little bit about our institution, a little bit about the students who would be successful at our institutions, and a little bit about our admissions process in 5 minutes. So I'll do my best. So as an overview, many of you probably know that we are located in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, that very historic town where, yes, it did change the history of our nation, if you will. So, and we're pretty proud of that, and kind of feed into that conversation of, not only what happened here, but what does that mean for our present and our future? So our students are agents of change. They are passionate about community service. They are passionate about civic leadership and engagement. And that really comes through a lot of our programs. But without talking too much, I'm going to actually share my screen if I can, and share just very briefly some of the highlights about Gettysburg. So I'll give you a moment, a pause, if you will, for you to read this. I hate when people talk over a slide, so I'll give you a moment. So Gettysburg is a nationally ranked college of the liberal arts and sciences, with students coming from across the country and across the globe. We are very proud of that 40 and 40 states and 40 foreign countries represented, and students with lots of different interests. I chose Gettysburg personally myself in the 90s because of its strong music program. Gettysburg is known for its Sunderman Conservatory of Music, entrenched within a liberal arts setting. So we have students who want to do music and biochemistry and music and history. But our number one program is actually political science. Another unique factor to Gettysburg is our Eisenhower Institute for Public Policy and Leadership. We have offices a block from the White House and right on our campus. Probably some of you know the history of Ike with Gettysburg. He retired to the Gettysburg area. His home is just outside of town. But he also founded one of the legacy organizations that every president is privy to do. So we are the only undergraduate institution that has a presidential legacy organization, the Eisenhower Institute. And that allows us a lot of networking opportunities with people in DC from all different sides of the aisle, from all different walks of life. We have an undergraduate fellowship program. We have lots of students involved in that conversation. And the last thing I'll highlight in terms of uniquely Gettysburg pieces, besides my love of music, is our Center for Public Service. I know at Central York, a lot of you students and family members are very committed and passionate about community service. And that is very much the case at Gettysburg. It is not something we require through the admissions process, but we see it. We see it a lot. So it's a part of who we are. That civic engagement, that student leadership, that servant leadership, if you will, is a part of who Gettysburg is from way back when to who we are now. And that's kind of the highlight, if you will. In terms of, and I'll take my screen share off, in terms of what we look for in the admissions process, kind of is similar to our liberal arts approach. It's really a little bit of everything. As I was describing it to a student earlier today, it's like one big puzzle piece. All of you students are one big puzzle piece that we're trying to figure out. So we're trying to get an understanding first and foremost of who you are as a student. So academically, who are you in the classroom? From the grades, the curriculum, the school you're coming from, and we know Central York, all of those pieces to everything else. We're looking at your extracurriculars or co-curriculars. We're looking how that has changed with COVID. Frankly, and again, I'll go back to my music students, we're not exactly in full orchestras right now or full bands right now because we can't. So we're looking at it in the context of what is happening and what has happened in the past for you. What have you been involved with past and present? How have you been a leader? How have you taken initiative? How have you served both your school community as your local home community, as well as your nation at large? All of those pieces are a part of the conversation in the admissions process. We love the personal statement, the essay. And by the way, it's called the personal statement for a reason. It's personal. We want to get to know you as a person through that essay. Recommendation letters from your wonderful counselors and teachers, that's important to us. That is a part of the admissions process for us. All of these pieces matter. And I purposefully left the SATs and ACTs to the end. About 2/3 of colleges and universities across the globe, across the country right now, four-year private institutions, all different types of institutions, have gone test optional or test flexible. Gettysburg College has been test optional since 2007. So this is not new to us. It is one piece of the puzzle. And if you have the opportunity to take the ACTs or the SATs, great. If you want to submit them, great. If you don't have that opportunity, or if you don't feel they reflect who you are as a student, that's okay too. That is why that optional piece is there. So all of those pieces are a part of the process. And last but not least, demonstrated interest. I won't touch on that too much right at this moment, but essentially what that means is, have you been in touch with us? In this virtual space right now, we're doing a lot of virtual programming, like tonight. So we're looking at how you've been in touch with us right now in a virtual setting, or even visiting our campus. We're only 45 minutes away from York. Please visit us. We are reopened for tours this coming week. We're very excited about that. And those students who do well at Gettysburg, that successful at Gettysburg, are those students who really take advantage of all of those different opportunities that are presented to them, both inside and outside the classroom. And I think my 5 minutes are up, so that is where I will stop and pass it over to my friend and colleague at HAC, Stephanie.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining. My name is Stephanie Anderson. I'm the Director of Admissions for the Lancaster and York locations of HAC. As most of you know, being a community college, we're a little different than the other colleges that are up. However, we work with them as well. So keep in mind that don't put us in your back pocket as thinking, oh, I'll attend HAC if I don't get in, because it could be you could attend HAC and then transfer out to another college, which is always an option. I myself am an alum of HAC, and from there I decided to go on to Penn State York, which was my college of choice, but we have many partnerships with other colleges, and some of the ones are on tonight as well. So we are Middle States accredited. Our credits are transferable onto other colleges. It's just recommended that our students work with their academic advisors to make sure they're taking the correct classes. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Hopefully this works here. Okay, well, there we go. All right, so as I was saying, we do offer our 5 locations: Harrisburg, Gettysburg, York, Lancaster, and Lebanon. And then we also offer online. Right now, due to COVID, all of our classes are offered either online or remote. Remote is where you log in like this via Zoom at a specific time. Online is asynchronous. You don't necessarily need to log in at a specific time, but you do have some deadlines and due dates that you need to complete. We offer over 100 different programs, anywhere from an associate's degree, certificates, or diplomas. Our top 3 associate's degrees would be our registered nursing program, criminal justice, and also business. We do offer sports, which a lot of individuals do not realize that we do offer. However, we're hoping those will come back in the fall. So fingers crossed on that. But right now we are offering esports for students to compete and take part in. We have very diverse campuses, and it's just a great opportunity for students if they wanted to. Once we get back to campus, we're hoping in the near future we'll be able to open up our campuses. When that does happen, students are able to take classes at any campus. You don't need to stay at one. However, depending on your program, you may need to do that, but some students can go ahead and travel if they would like. I'm going to stop sharing. So just real quickly, we do offer dual enrollment in college and the high school for students that are in 11th and 12th grade. And I do want to touch quickly on, we do offer a lot of trades. Some individuals do not realize that, but we do offer programs such as heating, ventilation, air conditioning, electrical technology, mechatronics, welding, auto tech. So we do offer some of those classes, and those are the caveats. They have been taking place currently on campuses just because of the hands-on component. However, we are making sure we follow all CDC guidelines so our students are safe. But those are the only classes that are being offered. on campus. Our admissions process is very simple. Our application is on our website at www.hack.edu. It is free to apply. We have open enrollment, which means students can apply at any time. However, please understand that we do have starts to our semesters, start dates. So if you decide to apply the Friday before a semester starts, that is not recommended. However, the application is up now for our summer and fall semesters. Once the student applies, we just need your high school transcript. It is not required that you take the SAT or ACT. However, we are using other multiple measures to figure out, if you are college ready. Placement testing is all being done currently online as well. So that is also free. So that's an opportunity if students do not meet the multiple measures that we have right now. And then from there, they will attend new student orientation and register for classes. It's very simple. So as I was saying before, just make sure that you keep us in mind. It's a great opportunity to keep the cost of college down. We do offer scholarships as well for our students, and our scholarship cycle actually just opened up today for students that are applying for classes for summer or next fall or even the next spring of 2022. So that is an opportunity for students as well. I think I covered everything. I'm going to go ahead and pass this on to my next colleague. I believe it's Josh.
Thanks, Stephanie. Hi, everyone. My name is Josh, and I'm Assistant Director of Admissions at Millersville University. There's probably not a lot that I can tell you about Millersville that you don't already know, so I'm going to try to stick with some really cool highlights. Things that people don't typically know about us is that we're the first state school in all of Pennsylvania, so we're almost 200 years old. Most people also don't know president is actually a king from Ghana, Africa, which is kind of cool. And we've got some really cool resources on campus for our students. Like our swimming pool has a sound system in it so you can hear music when you're underwater. So whether you know exactly what you want to study when you go to college or you're not entirely sure, chances are pretty good that we're going to have something just right for you at Millersville. Over the last couple of years, we've been adding some really cool majors to our repertoire. So now we've got programs like music industry, we've got environmental studies, we've got artificial intelligence, meteorology, that's a classic. So again, whether you know exactly what you want to study or you're not entirely sure, chances are pretty good that we've got something right for you at Millersville. And keep in mind, we're a medium-sized school. So yeah, we have students who come to us from Central York, but chances are pretty good that you're not going to run into those people on a daily basis. We've got almost 8,000 students who go to Millersville full-time every day. So there's a lot happening and there's a lot of new people to meet. The other nice thing about being from your area is we're right over the bridge, so you could commute from home if you wanted to. But if you decided to live on campus, freshmen are allowed to have cars at Millersville freshman year. So if you have a car, you're allowed to bring it, which is also kind of nice. And the other nice thing about living on campus is if you're like me and you like to eat, it's a great place to be. Our food is really good. Millersville is the last state school in all of Pennsylvania to do dining in-house. So for us, all of our food comes fresh and local. We have our own executive chefs, pastry chefs, sous chefs. And if you have any dietary restrictions, things like gluten, celiacs, anything like that, we're also happy to work with you as well. The other thing that we know working with students is that there's a lot of people out there, not just students, but also parents, grandparents, other mentors, and family friends who have a lot of questions when it comes to this college application process. So if that's you and you want to learn a little bit more about college, make sure you come and talk to us some more during our breakout room. Now, real quick, the type of student who applies to Millersville has about a 3.5 GPA on a 4.0 scale, but it's not a minimum, it's just the average. So if that's you, awesome. If that's not you, we'd still encourage you to apply. And you can apply to us over the Millersville app or the Common App, and SAT scores are optional. So I think that's everything I have to share. I'm going to pass it over now to my colleague Ryan from Penn State.
Thank you, Josh. Just wanted to give an awkward silence there. So Good evening, everybody. I'm Ryan Service Manzo, Director of Enrollment at Penn State, York. Hope you're all having a good evening. First of all, thank you for an excuse to wear something other than a sweatshirt. It's probably been probably since the new year before I had a chance to actually kind of dress up for sort of an event. So I do appreciate you all coming tonight and spending a little bit more time on Zoom here. So I did want to share with you a couple slides. Hopefully, y'all can see that. But I did want to just share with you a little bit about Penn State and just a couple things that try to highlight some things that maybe you're not aware of. So Penn State does offer over 275 different programs that you can study and at over 20 different Penn State locations. So each different location or dot on this map is a campus of Penn State. Hopefully, you're all aware there is a campus located locally in York. We're a campus of about 750 students, so a pretty small campus. Really focused on primarily serving the York and Lancaster areas. For most of you, pretty easy commuting distance, probably about 15 to 20 minutes. So if you're looking to stay at home and save on cost, but get a Penn State education, that is something that you can consider. But Penn State was founded as the land grant institution in the state. So the reason we have so many campuses was to fulfill our mission of trying to provide a college education for a majority of the residents of the state of Pennsylvania who want one. And so something that is unique to Penn State is our 2+2 program, where a student can actually start at almost any Penn State location for the first 2 years and then finish at another Penn State location. A majority of our students are starting the first 2 years, really at any of our campuses, and then ultimately finishing at the University Park campus and State College. Although we are finding more and more that that students are staying all 4 years at a specific campus or doing the 2+2 program, navigating to different campuses of Penn State. A little bit more about Penn State York. We do offer 11 different baccalaureate degrees that you can finish all 4 years, or again, starting that first 2 years of the 2+2 program. We're also excited that later this year, but not too much later, we should officially open the Graham Center for Innovation and Collaboration. It's a brand new building on the campus that's going to have a beautiful view of the city of York, but it's also going to be the home for our Graham Fellows Program for Innovation and Collaboration, really providing students an opportunity for those who want to be entrepreneurs, getting their start, but also building an entrepreneurial mindset. So whenever you go into your careers, it's important that you're thinking innovatively and collaboratively, efficiently. These are skills that really any employer wants. And so that's really the mission of the Graham Center. And Mr. Donald Graham, the founder of this program, really wanted students to come out with. So we're really excited to have an official home for this program at Penn State York and look forward to it serving students for years to come. At Penn State, we have over 1,200 different clubs and organizations. And I'm happy to say about 95% of our students are involved in some type of club or organization. And actually, the literature and studies show that students who are involved in at least one club or activity do better in college than students who don't. So and really the reasons for this is it really just builds another level of connection. It helps create additional networks with other students that maybe you otherwise wouldn't have done. And so involvement, regardless of where you go, is really critical. It's something that we promote. So I think one of the last slides I have here is just a couple quick facts that we want to share with you about Penn State as a whole. We are ranked in the top 1% world-class universities, but I think actually the other ranking here is something that means a little more to me. That we're ranked number 9 according to the Princeton Review for top ranked career services. So this is the office that really is providing students with those services to enter the career, enter the workforce. Maybe you're going on or thinking about going on to get an advanced degree. Maybe you're going on to law school, some type of graduate school, medical school. Um, and the reason that we're really able to have these successful connections with different employers and why we receive this rank. It probably really comes down to our alumni network. Actually, I just heard this fairly recently, but 1 in every 106 Americans with a college degree is a Penn State graduate. So when you think about all the degree holders out there, that's pretty impressive. We have a network of over 700,000 living alumni. Our career services offices are able to utilize this alumni network and helping our current students receive internships, job opportunities. So if you become a Penn State student, you become part of a large family, if you will, and you're able to utilize that for really years to come after you graduate. So something that I found just as a graduate myself, I love just wearing a Penn State hat through an airport. Well, fly, and usually getting stopped or something like that by somebody who had some Penn State connection, and it happened fairly frequently. So I think that's my 5 minutes. So I'll hand things over to my colleague, I think from Townsend, I believe, is if I've got the alphabet right. So thank you.
Thanks, Ryan. Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Kayla Miller, and I'm one of the senior assistant directors here at Towson University in Maryland. We are not too far away, even though we are in another state. I just Googled it. We are 54 minutes exact from your high school, so not that far at all. I'm also a proud alum. I'm actually from Lancaster County myself and decided to go out of state for college to kind of get away for 4 years. So graduated back in 2012, which honestly doesn't seem that long ago. I remember doing this with my brother and my parents, but time flies. So definitely happy to help and glad you're all on tonight to learn more about the process. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Real quick, I'm also the Pennsylvania contact for Towson. So myself and about 9 other counselors, we all split up the areas. So I hope to visit next year, this fall in person, and definitely get to know you. But my email is on here. So definitely come to the breakout room afterwards and we can kind of chat one-on-one a little bit more. But a little bit about TU, we are the 2nd largest public school here in the state of Maryland. We have grown tremendously in the past 10, 15, 20 years. So we are now just under 23,000 total students. Also just threw up on the screen some of our top majors. We were actually founded as a school for education. I left that one off on purpose so I could talk a little bit about that. So we actually have the most teachers coming out of the whole state that go to Towson. So I always joke when I go into a Maryland high school, it's about 50% of the teachers there graduated from TU. So education is kind of what we do. We do have that dual certification. So if you leave Maryland and you graduate and you want to go back to Pennsylvania, again, that residency would go ahead and transfer over for you. But some of our top majors, we have over 60, so a wide selection. We are also a pretty diverse campus. So we had students last year, even with COVID, coming internationally as well as all 50 states. So we are pretty diverse. So it is nice that you get to kind of branch out and meet different types of people. This is just an aerial view so you can kind of see our campus. I know it's not the same as in person, but I just want to show you that we are in very close proximity to the town of Towson. So very similar. I remember looking at Westchester when I was growing up, where the town is only about a 5-7 minute walk. So again, you have your bookstore, your restaurants, your cafe, but we are a very residential campus. Not to say that you couldn't commute from York. We do have some students that will commute from Pennsylvania as well. So it is entirely up to you whether you want to live on campus or not. A little bit about student life. I always tell my students from out of state, if you're looking for a medium/large size campus, we're a good fit. I personally chose Towson because it was not too big, not too small. It had tons of different majors. I was totally undecided as a high school senior, didn't know if I wanted to do nursing, teaching, broadcasting. So again, kind of looked for that wide selection. So again, when it comes to community service, marching band, study abroad, sports, a lot of our campus students on campus also have part-time jobs through the Career Center. So when we are looking through your application, involvement or resume is something that we like to take a look at. I throw in here real quick just our freshman application process. I'm not going to go through everything because it is all on our website, but especially those that are juniors on tonight that will be seniors this fall. Just to reiterate, because of COVID, we are now test optional, so we will be remaining test optional through fall 2022 as of right now. But all of our deadlines are on there and kind of what we look for. And then our freshman profile, which kind of gives you an idea of an accepted student. And this was last year. So you can kind of see that 3.7 weighted GPA. I think just like Millersville said earlier, again, that is just an average. So I always tell students, if you have that 3.0, don't be shy. You can still apply. We might defer you, look for senior year grades. I know with many of our decisions, we like to track to see how you're doing first quarter or mid-year during senior year. So that question is always good to ask. And then last but not least, just our cost of tuition. So again, I know being out of state and just the cost of college nowadays, I totally understand that it is a big investment. So to, again, start saving, applying early, meeting those deadlines for scholarships, working part-time. But I will say for students from Pennsylvania as well as out of state, that total cost does drop down. Again, if you get that merit scholarship award and or financial aid. So I've actually seen it come down and be comparable to a private school in Pennsylvania, again, be more affordable than a private school, and then actually be right around the same as a public school in Pennsylvania as well. So I always tell students, just because we're out of state, don't be totally afraid to apply. Definitely can crunch some numbers and make it around the same. I lied. So last but not least, I have one more slide just to kind of show you our resources and support services. I know many of our students, freshmen through senior year and even alum, will come back and use these services. I know a friend going through a job change, and she just ran over to the Career Center a couple weeks ago and did a virtual appointment to go over her resume and writing skills for the job that she's applying for. So these are all free services that you can use at any point in time. So again, just wanted to reiterate that even though we are a larger school, 22,000 students, you won't get lost. You have a lot of support and people that are here to help you. So with that being said, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and hand it over to my good friend Sharon at York College.
Had to remember to unmute myself. First of all, I apologize, everybody. I don't have a screen to share with you. I actually do, but I was having some technical difficulties earlier today, so I do apologize to you. But when you go into the breakout sessions and so forth and meet with me at the end, I might try to use my screen and share it, but right now I don't want to lose connection and miss all of you. So good evening, everyone. My name is Sharon Mulligan. I am the Associate Director of Admissions at York College. I also help to coordinate the dual enrollment program at York College. So I'm going to kind of come at this in two different ways. If you're a junior, senior, and you do want to participate in dual enrollment, you can reach out to me for that. I can help assist you through that. I work specifically with all students that come to York College from the York County area. And obviously Central High School is one of those schools. So if you apply to York College, I would actually be the person that would be reading your application and helping you through the admissions process. York College, you may know, we're right here in your backyard, and we have about half of our students that are from the local area do actually live on campus. So it's actually quite nice. It's flexible. So you can either choose to live on campus or you can choose to commute, whatever you'd like to do. York College is a 4-year private liberal arts college. And we like to take that liberal arts foundation and blend it in with what we call experiential learning or hands-on learning. We do have about 4,000 undergraduate students. So we're in that medium size for private schools. And we also have 70 different majors for you to choose from and minors. So it's quite a bit. Some of our top majors, I would be remiss by saying if I don't mention nursing, was one of our top majors. We're very competitive in nursing, engineering, criminal justice, business, intelligence analysis, cybersecurity, and 2 new programs that we're offering this fall, medical humanities, and also environmental with a emphasis in horticultural. So we do offer quite a bit of majors for you to choose from. Our class sizes are very small. We have about 19 students in our classes. So if you are looking for something on the smaller side and you don't want to be in a larger environment, try to make that connection with your professor, then we might be a really good choice for you. Like I said, you can choose to either commute or live on campus. It's really up to you. We have a ton of services on our campus to make sure that you're successful while you're there as a student, such as our academic advising. We meet with every student individually before they begin school at York and throughout the time that they're there, making sure that you're taking the appropriate courses in the appropriate sequence so you graduate on time. Obviously, our goal is to make your experience at York College as fulfilled as possible, but we also don't want you to be there 6 and 7 years. We want you to get in and get out as soon as you possibly can. We offer student accessibility services. There may be some of you out there that may have any type of accommodation in the classroom, whether it be a 504 plan or an IEP, for example. If you do have those accommodations, we can work with you and you can bring that right into York College, into our classrooms. We also have an academic support center for tutoring, things like that, a writing center. These are all free services that are available to you as a student at York College. As I was mentioned to you, our co-ops and internships, every single major that we have at York College has the ability for an internship and or a co-op, such as nursing clinicals, student teaching, engineering co-ops. We really want to bring that real world experience that you've learned, take what you've learned in the classroom and bring it to the real world, kind of bring those two things together and actually make that a full, well-rounded education for you. We do offer study abroad at York College, if that's something you'd be interested in doing too as well. Clubs, organizations, like Ryan had said at Penn State, we really want you to get involved. I think any one of our campuses are probably going to tell you that. It just makes your experience at college that much better, makes you a more well-rounded student. And when you go for a job interview, those opportunities that you were involved with, those leadership roles that you've taken on, help round out your college resume and really will help bring things to the table for you. If you're an athlete at York College, we do have 23 NCAA Division III athletics at York College. So if that's something you might be interested in, I can help you through that process too as well. Lastly, we talk about the admissions process and what does that look like. At York College, like most of us this year, we have become test optional this year. So the average student at York College, our GPA, I would say it's right around a 3.2 to a 3.7. So we kind of sit in that same pocket that you've already heard earlier this evening. Again, going test optional this year, what we're really now doing is really taking a look at your curriculum, taking a look at the classes that you've taken, whether you've taken college prep, whether you've taken honors, AP, dual enrollment, whatever that may be. We also take a look at your personal statement. That's really important that you provide a really good personal statement and or essay. And we also look for 2 letters of recommendation, whether that come from a math teacher, a science teacher, an English teacher. We want to make sure that we're getting a full picture of who you are, not only as a student, what you've done, but also what you've done while you're at school. List your activities, list your clubs, things that you've been involved with at school. Those are all things that we're looking for at York College. So I kind of take a more of a holistic approach to you, sort of like what Mary had said about Gettysburg. We're kind of looking at all different things and trying to paint a really good picture. If there any time that there's a question or a concern when I'm taking a look at those things, I will reach out to a guidance counselor, or I very well may pick up the phone and call you myself and say, hey, look, I see this, or I see that, or I noticed that, or is there anything else you want to tell me about yourself that I'm not quite seeing here on your transcript or in your letters of recommendation? So right now, that's pretty much all I have to share with you. If there's more that you'd like to learn about York College, please come to my breakout room and I'll talk to you there. Thank you.
Thank you all so much. I am sure that the parents and the students feel just like Tristan and I feel very excited to hear from all of the 6 schools who've joined us. We're going to take some time here now to answer questions. And so families, feel free to type your questions in the chat. You certainly can also unmute yourself to ask a question. We're just not sure that with as many people are on here, if we can manage that quite as easily. So hopefully you'll all be patient. I'd like to start it out because Sharon just talked about SATs and being test optional. And we know that's a big question right now with so many students not being able to take tests. So I'd like to open a question up to the college reps about SAT scores, but also if you could address if you have a preference for SAT scores versus ACT scores, and indeed if somebody doesn't take either test, how you would handle that test optional process. Can I ask Ryan from Penn State to start us off?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that question. I think the second part's probably a little easier. I think probably most of us are open to either the SAT or ACT. Um, so either one, if you do choose to take a test and are able to, that's fine. Penn State is test optional up till 2023 at this point. It's possible, very likely, even that it would extend beyond that. But really, for the reasons Ms. Utter just shared, that we understand that that many of you just can't take a test, PSAT, SAT, whatever the case is, and so. But if you are able to take it, you can utilize that as part of your application. It's basically the best way I could describe this as I was kind of thinking about really this question was is some schools use class rank and some schools don't. So it's a factor if you choose to submit test scores and you want to submit those, we'll use those as part of your evaluation. If you choose not to, then that's just not something that we'll factor in, and then we'll factor in everything else that you've submitted into making our admissions decision. And so it is optional. I mean, again, we'll take it if you submit it. It's certainly not a requirement. And again, it's not going to be penalized by not submitting it. So I'll hand off to any of my colleagues who maybe want to weigh in on that as well.
I'll go ahead and weigh in. At a community college, we never required SATs or ACTs. If you did take them, we would look at them to see if you would be college level. However, we have been able to add a lot of multiple measures now, such as looking at PSATs, grade point average, also just grades in math in general, to see if you would be able to be college level. If not, we do offer placement testing online, which is free. So that is an opportunity at HAC.
Thank you. Thank you both. We have a couple questions coming in on the chat. Question about requiring foreign language for admissions. You know, how many years of world language do you want a student to have taken in high school, and is that required?
I can start with that one. Also Fremdsprachen sind für mich ganz persönlich wichtig, weil ich mehr als eine Sprache spricht. So you never know when you're going to run across someone who has a really interesting story, and that foreign language could always come in handy. But for us at Millersville, not required, but we strongly recommend it.
I don't think I can top that. For Towson, we also would like to see 2 years. I know that that's stated on our website. We actually have 4 years of math, science, all of that laid out. Although it's always case by case basis. A few weeks ago, I was working with a student who, instead of a foreign language, she's super passionate about ASL and deaf studies. So that is what she's actually taking in place. So for us, it's pretty much case by case basis, I would say, but we would love to see 2 years.
Excellent. Thank you. Any other colleges want to weigh in? I have a couple other questions we'll throw out next.
Yeah, I will. We are very similar to Towson. We really do want to see at least 2 years. Now, it won't prevent admission, but you'd have to make up a deficiency. Also keep in mind that many majors require foreign language. So once you get to college, you may need to get a foreign language anyway. So you may want to think about getting some expertise while in high school in a specific language.
Thank you. While Ryan brought up majors, let's talk a second. There's a couple of students who have specific interest, wondering if any of these schools have culinary programs, or if any of your schools have occupational therapy programs.
HAC does offer culinary, and we have an associate's degree in culinary based out of our Harrisburg location. We also have a pastry and arts certificate as well, and that is also based out of the Harrisburg location. Obviously, some of those classes are being done virtually currently.
York College does not offer culinary. And what was the second one that you said, Charlotte?
Occupational therapy.
I'm sorry, we do not offer occupational therapy either.
I'm waiting for Kayla to weigh in on the occupational therapy question.
Yeah, so it has gone through a change. We used to have the 5-year OT program, which was the Bachelor Master's Accelerated program. Because the whole field of OT has now moved similar to PT into a doctorate level, Towson does have the doctorate. So what we recommend for students coming in as freshmen or transfers is to major in exercise science, and then you will actually still have a pre-OT advisor along with your major, setting you up if you want to then apply to the doctorate program or go to a master's level. They'll be able to kind of set you up with that. So yes and no. I know some schools still have the 5 years. We discontinued that. We now have the doctorate. So
Thank you very
and
much.
no culinary, sorry.
Thank you. Now, let's talk a little bit about financial aid. We've got a lot of folks who have questions about that and, understanding the difference between need-based and merit-based. Obviously, we as their school counselors will be covering that more with them as seniors. But if there's anyone who would want to sort of give an overview of that process.
I can take a shot at it from York College. I know we offer both. So we do offer the need-based financial aid too as well. So those of you who are seniors, you should have already applied for the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid that opens October 1. Those of you who are juniors, you'll begin doing that this coming fall. So we do take a look at that as well. But then we also offer what we call merit-based scholarships at York College, depending whether you're going to be a commuter student or whether you're going to be a residential student. Residential meaning living on our college campus, living in our dorms. There's two separate types of merit-based scholarships. But if you're going to be a commuter, we offer merit-based up to $5,000. If you're going to be living on campus, actually living in a dorm, is up to $10,000 academic year. And that's based upon, again, your academic profile, taking all those things into place. So looking at grade point average, looking at actually content, curriculum content, AP, honors, college prep, whatever that may be. If you do offer or do submit SAT or ACT test scores, those also get looked at too as well. So it's a combination of a lot of different things, but we offer both at York College. The merit-based scholarships will follow you throughout the entire 4 years that you're there. And obviously the need-based aid will too as well, as long as you apply for need-based aid every single year.
Excellent. We have several other majors that people want to know where they're offered. And I suppose it's good to answer this so that when we go into breakout rooms, they know which breakout rooms to hop into. And of course, families, you will be able to go in and out and meet with more than one college rep. But if any of you college reps want to weigh in, questions about athletic training, questions about zoology, broadcasting, sports journalism, art programs.
All of those would be great options for us at Millersville.
At HAC, we do have a communications major that does have a journalism concentration, and we also do offer an arts program.
At York College too as well, both of those things that Stephanie just mentioned, and we also have a sports management program that would get offer into that journalism, sports, broadcasting, and so forth.
We also have all of them.
Penn State does too. Well, technically not sports journalism, but there's a center for sports journalism, which would be an add-on to the journalism degree.
How about let's talk about that student who isn't sure what they want to major in? And, how do they know how to look for a college right now if they don't know what they want to do? Advice?
I'll speak up quickly. We have a lot of students that come to a community college because they're not sure what they want to do. Why not come to a community college, get some of your general education classes out of the way, such as your English, math, science classes, which are usually required no matter what degree you go for, at a cheaper rate, and then transfer out if that is your goal. However, our number one major is general studies, which is considered undecided. They can use our career services, career services department to help them figure out sort of, where do I want to go? Or they can sort of work with their advisor if they would like to and figure out, by taking a couple classes and finding their niche.
Terrific. Anyone else want to weigh in?
I'll just throw something out there real quick. Like, the world is changing a lot right now, and chances are pretty good with all of the changes that, the career that most of you will end up in doesn't even exist today. So if you're feeling a little bit stressed about, like, what do I study? My advice is think more about what types of changes do you want to make in the world and how do you see yourself contributing, because the landscape is just changing so much right now. Try not to let that be the thing that stresses you out.
That's great advice. Thank you.
Mrs. Utter, if I could, I would like to share a resource that I will sometimes jump into with juniors or seniors on my list who might be unsure of what they want to do. And I'm going to take you on a really quick, super quick tour of the College Board's website. Hopefully you can see this. This is just sat.org, collegeboard.org. When you come here, you can jump into the college search feature. And so that's right down here. This website is phenomenal because at this website, what you could do, if you know a college you're interested in, Penn State, Millersville, you could search that and get everything you want to know about them. This website allows you to take the filters that are important to you as far as location. Many folks want to stay close to their home or a major that you might have an interest in. This is a great resource. It filters out colleges based on some of those filters. And it's really, really useful. So I recommend that to some students. That link is on that Getting Ready for College handout, that little timeline map I showed earlier. So that would be really good for some of those general questions about colleges and universities in our local area that just offer different majors.
Awesome. So I have two questions about senior year that I'd love to have our admissions reps address. First of all, how important are the classes that a student and the grades they earn in their senior year? I know students are going to be applying at the beginning of their senior year. And here at Central, there's a bit of a culture to have a lot of free periods in a senior year. How much does the rigor of the senior year matter? And I apologize for throwing a second part onto it, but I've also had a student ask about what about transferring in credits that they might take during their senior year that are already college credits. So I know those are two different ends, but I know you guys can handle it.
I'll jump in first. We do look pretty heavily actually at the senior year rigor. So especially now, if you're not going to submit SAT or ACTs or can't, then really we are going to look at the rigor, and particularly in the mathematics area. And if you're looking at some of the more of the STEM related majors like engineering, the sciences, and the technologies. So we definitely encourage that if you've already had a rigorous academic experience that you maintain that. And I guess to take that second part as well, certainly adding in any kind of dual enrollment opportunities is certainly something that we would look positively on. If you're not able to do that, we recommend doing honors or AP. We definitely like to see that you're challenging yourself. To be fair, we may not necessarily get the full grade that you've gotten in your senior year, just because the admissions decisions are usually coming during your senior year. We may get the first quarter, but we definitely want to see that you're intending to challenge yourself.
Thank you.
I just want to weigh in. A lot of students we see don't take a math their senior year, and math is like a muscle. If you don't use it, you lose it. So we definitely recommend that you take a math class all 4 years. It will really help you when you get to college, and you won't lose the foundations that you have gained in math in high school.
Thanks so much.
I would agree with both Stephanie and Ryan. I think especially since we are all going test optional now, some of our space limited majors such as nursing, engineering, things like that, not only am I reading that application, especially if you're on the borderline for admissions, it also is getting sent to the faculty, and faculty is reviewing are reviewing these applications, and they want to see, have you taken or have you challenged yourself your senior year, and how are you progressing throughout? So are you taking actually even in nursing, they're looking for a 4th year science. So they're looking for those advanced courses to come along into that senior year. So there's oftentimes, if you are on that borderline, we will wait and hold your application to see what you've taken and then how you're progressing through.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you so much, everybody. I think that we're just a little bit before 8 o'clock, and it strikes me as a great time to go ahead and open the breakout rooms. There will be 6 different breakout rooms, and Mr. Zelinka and I will stay here in the main room. But families, you can move in and out of the breakout rooms as you would like. They are named for each college, and I'm sure that our admissions reps will jump into their breakout rooms as soon as they are opened by me. Everybody good? Feel welcome to go ahead and go to a breakout room or stay with us. It's good to see you back, Miss Smith.
Sorry about this internet connection
I see it's been kicking you off.
a few times.
Your breakout
I'm
room
assuming-
should be open if you want to go in there.
Great. And let's see, how should we move into the breakout?
I believe that you have the option of selecting the breakout room yourself. And so if you're able to go to Gettysburg's.
Great. Yep.
I have a question for the guidance counselors.
Excellent. Oh, Kathy, I see you. How are you?
Okay, here's my video. Sorry. So Mark is very much has no clue major wise. Somebody told me that there's a program that they can answer a bunch of questions and then it spits out a bunch of majors for them to at least narrow down their ideas. Is that something Central has? He did one for colleges, which was just way too long. I tried to help him narrow that down a little bit more, but is there one for majors that answers questions about his likes and stuff?
Well, certainly it isn't as when we were looking at careers that you're interested in, they don't necessarily come back with the answer being the major. They answer
Okay, careers.
right.
Okay.
Right. And the Smart Futures program that all of the students are actually required to do is very much intended to help them explore their interests and find the careers that best match their interests. So, all of the students have been working through Smart Futures for a few years now. Unfortunately, because it's something they're told they have to do, it seems like they just get it done without really looking at the questions they're answering, because those questions are about themselves. But, I'd be happy to meet with Mark again, and I would want to kind of pull up his Smart Futures and ask him to reflect upon what responses he got back from.
Okay, so I could tell him to look at his Smart Future stuff and then reach out to you. I didn't know that that's what it was called.
Yeah, that's a good place to start. Of course, I know we also have a great career center here, and our workforce readiness coordinator helps set up students with opportunities. There are the programs that we have through the York County Alliance for Learning that we have a lot of students participating in this year. I think those recently came out in one of the You Got It's. If not, I can resend it to Mark. But it's such a process, and it just might be that he's not yet at the stage of his own development that he's ready to figure that out.
Thank you.
Oh, of course. I believe that anybody who wants to join a breakout room should be able to look at the ribbon at the bottom of their screen beneath the video. And if you click on the breakout room, you can then select which breakout room you want to come to. You're more than welcome to stay with us, but all of the college reps have gone into their breakout rooms and are happy to answer very specific questions about their schools. Is everybody finding it okay?
And if you are stuck, I think I uncovered the ability to move you to a breakout room, though I can't guarantee I won't kick you out of the room. So if you are stuck, please let us know. We'll try to move you. But again, if you just hit on that ribbon on the bottom of the screen, you should see a breakout room icon. And then from there, you should be able to move into a room.
If there's anybody who wants us to put them in a breakout room, you can unmute yourself and tell us, and we'll head you right over.
So I don't have like the breakout in at the bottom. Is there a way you could put me in with Penn State?
Totally. Yes, I see you, and I'm getting you there right now.
Thank you.
And I have trouble accessing Hack.
Oh, is this Laura speaking?
Yes.
Well, none of us are experts on Zoom, so none of us here today. So I will try
here
to.
Right now, join Hack. Yeah.
Okay.
Hey guys, I'm with Towson. How am I getting into my breakout room?
It should be at the bottom of your screen, Kayla, but
okay. There's nothing, because I didn't know if it was my own Zoom that I had sent previously, but okay, I got it now. It just popped up.
Thank you.
Mrs. Utter, apparently when we click assign to, it gives them a prompt to enter that room. So again, folks, if anyone is having trouble, I will click that button and it'll give you a prompt and you can join from there.
Could you please forward us to Penn State?
Is this Kim
Yes.
Mudge? I
Yeah.
apologize if I'm butchering your name.
I'm taking care of you, Mr. Thorne.
Does that we click on?
There you go.
There, join. No, get out of there. Join.
Mrs. Funk, I think you're still with me, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. I'll be happy to support your efforts to get Connor to take a full schedule next year.
Yes, thank you.
Absolutely. He and I chatted during Flex today. But
What
we
is
didn't cover that?
Yeah, what is the pre-intern form that he needs for like business, or I'm sorry, I think it was business management and economics. There was like a little asterisk at the bottom. It said a pre-internship form must be completed to schedule the course. What is that?
Oh, well, the pre-internship form only needs to be completed if he's going to do an internship. There were asterisks next to a lot of classes that meant look at the prerequisite, but those two classes shouldn't need a pre-internship form. It's internships that need a pre-internship form. Not to sound silly, but.
Well, that's what I thought. That's why I was like, I must be missing something. So.
No worries.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
So I have a question. This is Jody Strickler.
Hi, Jody.
Hi. So how do you start figuring out what colleges to narrow down to? You know, we know we're looking at probably within a few hours from here.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you even start? Like, how do you get that list? You know, even if we know what he wants to do, which we're still, we know STEM related.
Right. Yeah. And I think there's two important steps in this. And the first one is the website that Mr. Zelenka showed by going onto sat.org and then doing the college search. You know, I've been doing that with students. Well, I did it today during Flex with Mrs. Funk's son, you know, showing them that website and a lot of the questions, the filters that they narrow down, sort of ask them to reflect upon what they want. That's such a process. And that other aspect of this is trying to get on campus, and if not on
Right.
campus, virtual, because it's such a gut level decision. You know, I mean, I think we've all been in physical places where we're like, I like this place or I don't like this place. So part of it is, and you know, if a student walks around York College's campus, they get a feel for how do I like a college that's, you know, relatively small. You go
Right.
a little bit further, drive down to Towson and go, oh, wow. I don't know. How do I feel about being that close to Baltimore, but it's, you know, it's close to this. It's a gut.
Right.
So I think that
Okay.
that website is terrific as a way to start.
And that was sat.org.
Yes. And when you're there, you just want to look for the college search feature.
Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely. Sarah, would you like me to put you in one of the breakout rooms? I did see your question, and I'm just not really good at answering privately. So
That's okay. No, I thought initially he was going to want to talk with one of them, but I'm getting some out of this conversation. Thank you, though.
absolutely. I do have good answers about that, but you know, we'll talk privately later to give you some of those answers. And I do want to apologize. Is there anybody else hanging out right now who does want to be in a breakout room? We don't want to be ignoring your requests. Have we followed all of the chat questions, Mr. Zelinka? Are we on top of it?
I think so. I've been trying to stay on top of it. So yeah, I think so.
What an adventure teachers have every day when they do this. Oh my
so much
gosh.
respect. I see Mr. Astorino's out there in the audience, and I'm, you know, we just have to, you know, clap twice for respect, because Mr. Astorino, you know, we feel you.
Pam, did you come back on with a question?
I did, but I forgot what my question is. So hold on, I have to think about it again. Oh, I know what it is. I know what it is. Do you know, are most of the colleges opening back up for tours on campus? Because I agree with what you said. Like, Connor kind of knows what he wants to do, and he can go on and search for the colleges that have that major. But I think it's also a feeling. Like, when you're interviewing, you kind of need to go to the place, and it's a feeling. Do you know? Have you heard if most of the colleges are opening back up for tours for kids to start going through and kind of get that feel for some of the interests that they might have in different colleges?
I do think they are. Mr. Zelinka, have you also found that? I know we just, sorry.
No, I'm just agreeing. Yeah, I think we're hearing that. And I think as the spring and the summer continues, I think we'll see more and more. To be honest, our current juniors are in a good position because we tell our juniors now and beginning in the spring and through the summer, this is the time to be visiting colleges anyway. So we're going to see some of the colleges and universities opening up. It sounds like Gettysburg just opened up this week. So, you know, the best thing to do is just kind of call admissions office. And by the way, the students should really be calling the admissions office, but, you know, call, make some of those contacts, reach out, and, you know, that's going to be the best way to know. They're probably advertising on websites. Facebook is probably a really good resource as well. You know, a lot of them have a pretty good social media handle where they're sharing information. So.
Thank you.
Sure.
I think those who are running tours, most of those colleges are trying to keep the tours in smallish groups so that families aren't being exposed to other families.
Yeah. So I have another question. When they talked about foreign language and saying that they were saying 2 years, do they mean Spanish 1, Spanish 2?
Yes. 2 levels, 2 credits. Yes.
I'm thinking my kids, 3 was bad. I can't get them to take Spanish 4.
No, definitely. We do. I tend to always say 2 levels of the same world language.
Okay.
Yes.
Sounds great. Thank you.
On that same thing about math, they said 4 years, but because they can take semester wise, they may have already taken 4 or even 5 math credits and not necessarily take one their senior year. So like, that's kind of like, I don't know, odd to me. I guess it's the whole semester thing.
Right.
Yeah.
With our block scheduling, it does throw things off. But Kathy, do keep in mind, as our rep said so beautifully, if a student hasn't had math each year, it's the muscle, and if we're not using it, it's really easy to forget that stuff. So we do encourage students in their senior year to make sure they still have some sort of math. And maybe we need to be creative with that term math. Maybe it's accounting because they're interested in business, and so they're still doing calculations. Or maybe it's one of the math classes that isn't on that typical track that's algebra 2 and trigonometry and calculus, but it's maybe the patterns and connections or the statistics or the math analysis class.
I'm going to send Haley to come talk to you because she has so many math credits already. She's like, I'm done. I'm like, no, you're not.
I think I say to students all of the time, slow down. We don't need to jam it all into 9th and 10th grade, because then in 11th and 12th grade, when you're taking it easy, you're building some habits or forgetting your good habits. How about that? What else? What other questions do we have?
I have another question. So my son's taking 5 math classes, but he does not want to take a 4th science class because he's looking to get into business and marketing. Do you find that most schools are requiring 4 sciences, even if you're not going into the field of science?
No, not most at all. I think colleges in general are comfortable with the 3 for science and social studies, but we can never answer for every college.
Right. I understand that. And he'll have 4 for everything except for science. That's just not his thing. So.
And when a student's passion is business.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I just keep hearing these questions come up. So I do want to, I'm sorry if I'm just going to take charge. And I want to spend a little bit more time just on this website that I talked about briefly before. This is, again, the SAT website, collegeboard.org. If you click on the college search, that takes us to get some of those filters. But I just want to show you really quickly. We'll pick on Millersville, for example. Millersville University of Pennsylvania. If you knew nothing about Millersville University of Pennsylvania, except for the name of it, you can come in here and you'll get really quickly just the 1 or 2 sentence blurb about Millersville University, the at a glance. We find out this is a medium-sized 4-year public university, liberal arts college. What's it about? What kind of things are there? But this website tells you everything you need to know that we want you to know as a school counselor. It talks about the deadlines that you need to know for applications. It talks about what majors are available. It talks about the student to faculty ratio. What's the percentage of students who graduate in 6 years? Some folks want to go to a college and make sure that they find their people. So Millersville, 13% of their students major in business or marketing, 10% are in education. So lots of good stuff. A lot of times families care about the paying piece. So you get that on campus, off campus, or commuter kind of breakdown with how much it costs. But here's the question that I'm getting, or that I'm hearing come up, the application question. So for Millersville, we learn what's important to them. Well, top 3 things they're looking at. They're looking at your academic GPA, your class rank, and how difficult your classes were in high school. We also learned that what's important is the essay, the character qualities, standardized test scores, etc. This is the thing that I wanted to point out, this application requirements. Oh, that wasn't it. That talks about the SAT. That's a good thing. Academics and GPA is what I wanted. So here we see what's required for their application. And Millersville is telling us that they need 4 years of an English. We get that. 2 history, 3 credits of math, 3 science, 2 of which must have a lab component. Your students get that here too, by the way. 3 social studies. They're recommending 4 academic electives. So when we say academic electives, we're talking about organic chemistry, we're talking about economics, current events, those core academic electives. But we also get the answer to that foreign language question. At Millersville, at least according to this website, foreign language is not required, but it is recommended. And what you'll see at the different colleges you look at, some do require the foreign language, but then they'll recommend a third level. So again, this is the time that we encourage our juniors just to start doing some of their research. Take a look at the different things that are important to colleges so that they can be ready for that application season, which, by the way, opens up August 1st. Generally speaking, most applications are open August 1st.
Awesome.
Sorry again.
I don't know who you're apologizing to. I don't think anybody's bothered by it. And if they are, they're not even showing us their faces, so we know.
All right.
Does oh, my dog's barking. Central offers this kind of a thing for financial aid also. It's usually in person in the auditorium, right? But I'm assuming, so next year's freshmen should go to a financial aid seminar like this?
Yeah, we do typically have a financial aid evening in the fall, and I don't believe this year we ended up having it. The things were so new with COVID, but there are some really great seminars that FHIA, the Pennsylvania Higher Education Assistance Agency, offers to families. So I bet that we could find that link to any of their upcoming webinars, they probably call them, and put it in a You Got It upcoming. Would that be helpful?
Yes, thank you very much.
Absolutely. Val, I think you raised your hand. Do you have a question?
No, I thought I was sending the clap of the hands because you were, I was just saying thank you.
I honestly can't understand most things in Zoom, so yay for you that you figured out how to even do that.
Thank you. This has been helpful. I appreciate it.
We love having the college reps. They're super, super helpful. And they are still in breakout rooms, so if anybody wants to still ask them any particular questions, we ask them to hang out till about 8:30, so we got about 10 more minutes.
So when should, hi, Mrs. Utter, when should Ethan apply for the dual enrollment? Like, since I already know he's going to go to Penn State, York. Oh, sorry. When should he fill out that application for those classes? I can't remember what I did with Katrina.
Katrina, right. No, I expect what's typical is that we have the applications for the dual enrollment late March if we're lucky, but it's usually in April. Okay. And we are really expanding our dual enrollment offering. Now it's about blowing my mind, and Mr. Zelenka might be more on it than I am, but I don't know that I know the procedures for all 7 colleges where our students can now do dual enrollment classes. So
yeah, that was very impressive to see the number of colleges tonight. And when I asked, about the class listings for Penn State York, obviously they're not coming out yet. So I think that's going to be, a big factor, but I want to at least get the application process started.
Absolutely.
I'll just put on anyone who cares' radar. Every spring we'll do a dual enrollment night. It's typically towards the end of April. This year we are looking at that first or second week in April. I want to say it's a Thursday evening to do our dual enrollment night. And so all of our partners will be invited, and we'll start advertising a little bit closer to that date. Who among them will be joining us, but that's probably a really good event to be mindful of and to plan on attending for anybody who's considering dual enrollment for the fall or the summer.
Yeah,
that's true too.
How does that affect their course selection that they're doing right now?
Oh man, I love course selection and dual enrollment. The fact of the matter is, I just tell my students, when you're doing your course selection, and Mrs. Utter, I may be totally off base here. You put me back in my place if I'm off base, but I tell my students to put the courses that they want to take as if they are here in the building, because inevitably, when a student is going down the road of dual enrollment, we're manipulating the schedule in some capacity. And so I would rather have them be in classes that they want to be, and then we could decide later, if we're going to do dual enrollment, if we're going to be in this class. And I think it just gives us a better option of classes to select. For those of you who aren't too in tune with the whole process of course selection, it's a two-step thing. So right now we're selecting courses that tells us how many sections to build of classes. So it's very important, at least to us, that we get the interest generated so we know how many sections to keep building.
And so right now at this course request process, to echo what Mr. Zelenka said, I always beg my students, choose 8 credits. Right now, you're just choosing 8 credits worth of classes. If later they don't schedule all those credits, that's okay. And usually at that step in the process, hopefully this year we'll be back to doing arena scheduling. When we get back to that step in the process, that's usually almost the same timing of those applications being done for the dual enrollment through the colleges. So it'll work out. And Kathy, we're accustomed to, sort of building schedules and then shifting schedules and making changes as we need. So we're happy to do that.
Okay, thank you for clearing that up.
Most definitely, most definitely. So we do have Ms. Smith from Gettysburg College back with us. If anybody has any questions for her, I think she spent a couple minutes on her own, hanging out.
I figured I'd join back into the main session since the internet seems to be holding now. So I figured I'd pop in. There was one great question that some of the initial folks who joined my group, my breakout, asked about, and that was if students aren't sure what they want to major in right out of the starting gate. And frankly, that is the case with a lot of students. I always tell students, don't worry, it's okay. Because we have many students who come in with many different interests. They have 2 or 3 and they're not sure which direction they want to go. And I always, share a fun fact. It's actually 70% of students in their first year of college, not Gettysburg specific, but just in general, will usually change their major in the first year. So I always tell students, don't worry, as you come into college, take the time to explore, to try different courses and where you find yourself. But there is time to declare that major. There is time to make those decisions. You don't have to know right away. That will come. So I thought I'd share that one since it was asked by 2 different people too.
Definitely. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I did have a question about the dual enrollment, and I know it sounds like you're going to touch on that at a later meeting, but first off, only juniors and seniors can do that, correct?
At this point, we believe it's only juniors and seniors. One of our partners, Mansfield University, has allowed our 10th graders to participate, but that we're brand new to using Mansfield. So it's been a very small number of students who took part in that this year. Okay. I'm unfamiliar with some of this process because my husband and I both went military and then went to college. So I'm kind of getting my head around this, but if they're doing dual enrollment, how does that, their class that they're taking them for college counts for high school and for college? Absolutely.
And then are they considered already admitted to the college then when it comes to building classes further, or how's that work?
No, when somebody is accepted into the dual enrollment program with that college, it's specially for that program. They're a high school student taking a college class. That's not admission to, full-time matriculation to the college. I don't know if I could word that better, if any of the college reps want to say it in any better terms, but no, dual enrollment is really quite separate.
And I think just to jump on that too, we always encourage students to ask the question of articulation agreements. Not every dual enrollment class will transfer to every college or institution. So you almost have to have some thinking ahead of time to question, do I want to potentially end up at this university? If not, will that transfer to another university that I have some interest in? And it really opens the door to a bigger conversation about the difference between AP and dual enrollment. So not to get too far into the weeds, but if a student knows that they want to stay regionally close, you know, a dual enrollment might be kind of a better option for them because there might be more likelihood of that credit transferring. If they know they want to be outside of our region, AP might be a better option because AP is nationally normed, nationally known, and that means something in Hawaii if you went to Hawaii. But Harrisburg Area Community College, you know, that's not going to mean anything to the University of Hawaii. So you see where I'm going with that?
Yes. So I'm thinking for my daughter who's going to be a sophomore here soon and in her future, but I'm thinking down that road if she did a dual enrollment sort of thing, she would then apply to a college and have college transcripts that she would submit with her application. Am I correct?
Yes, and if it's dual enrollment through one of our colleges that we have a memorandum of understanding with, we also put that on our transcript. So, you know, colleges will see that it's a dual enrollment class through one of our partners, and that college may accept our transcript, or they may request a student to get an official transcript from that school, in which case that student would work with the registrar's office from that college or university.
So last question, if they have a dual enrollment thing, do they still need SAT, ACT if those are being considered at that time?
I'm just gonna do the bland general, depends on the college or university.
Thank you.
And I'll add from the college perspective that it really does depend in terms of the SAT, ACT, but in terms of the dual enrollment versus AP, what's nice about dual enrollment is there's a little bit more control in those grades that, you know, okay, going through, these are the grades I'm getting. So there's the outcome at the end of that semester. This is my A in that course versus an AP, which as Tristan was saying, that is universally accepted. But if you don't score the 4 or 5 on the AP exam, that college may not give that credit, even though you were earning A's all along in that AP class. If you don't score that 4 or 5, for example, at Gettysburg, we need a 4 or 5 on the AP exam. Whereas dual enrollment will, as long as there's a college transcript, we'll take the dual enrollment as long as it's a C- and higher in that college level course, and that it equates to one of our courses. So for example, a lot of students will take English Composition 101, or they'll take a history course, or they'll take a math course. Those naturally will come over to us. Anesthesiology does not, because we don't have an anesthesiology course at Gettysburg. So it's some of those specific pieces that can sometimes be a nuance of the college and university. In terms of the SAT or ACT, that's really totally separate from the dual enrollment or AP conversation in a lot of ways. And frankly, I am hopeful that over these next few years that we begin to get even more and more and more away from the SAT and ACT, because we've had to, and so many schools have had to move away from, you know, whether it's test optional, test blind, test flexible. I have a feeling we're gonna see an even greater transition over the next couple of years. And the College Board that handles the SAT is gonna put more emphasis on its APs, on those advanced placement courses. So I see it going more that direction versus the testing direction, but who knows?
Excellent. Well, thank you everybody for joining us tonight. We really, really, really appreciate our college representatives spending their evening with us, and families. We hope that you will continue to reach out to your school counselors with questions. And of course, we will be posting the recording of this event on the high school counseling office website that is off of the high school website. If anybody has any lasting comments, any final comments, we will entertain a question or two. But otherwise, have a wonderful, wonderful Thursday evening and a terrific, safe weekend. All right, thank you all.
Bye, everyone. Great to see you all.
Take care, Sharon. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Stay safe, everybody.
Thank you.
So long, thanks.